What is going on, guys? Today's tutorial video is going to be all about soldering XT60 connectors. Now they're both the same on the male and female end. Let me go ahead and illustrate this for you. You can see they have this U right here where these two bullets come in together. Now one thing about this is that depending if you are using an air vehicle or a ground vehicle, it really depends on if the male or the female is used. So on the ground vehicles, the female end is used on the battery, and on air vehicles, the male end is used on the battery. And don't ask me what happens if you plug these two in together. Probably some big explosion, so we're not going to try that. But you can see that I just got these in today, the two batteries, and these Venom ones are the ones that I've had for the longest time, and I'm going to be converting this one over to the male connector so that I can use them with my planes. So you can see the capacity and the cell count is correct on both of them as well. So basically all I need for this, of course, is a male XT60 connector, and then I'm going to have some heat shrink tubing. I like to have a pair of general use pliers as well as some cutters to use for stripping, and I use a vice grip because I don't really have the helping hand soldering tool things. And of course your soldering iron. I like to use some rosin core solder, like this Archer stuff looks pretty old, but I like it a lot. You can also use same thing, rosin core solder. Just really depends on what your preference is. You can use some flux, but since the rosin's kind of in here, I don't really mess with it that much. So basically this is kind of the overview of what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and cut one lead at a time so we don't short the battery, and then we're going to go ahead and solder them on. So here we go. Let's go ahead and cut the positive lead first, and I'm going to go ahead and set my plug up here. So I'm going to go ahead and just crimp it just like that with the kind of plate just phasing out just like that. And now that that looks good, I'm going to go ahead and take my soldering iron and just fill the area up with solder. Just, you can see, let's zoom in on that. I'm just going to fill this area up with solder, and just like that, so it's all full. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my cutters, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my positive wire only, leaving the negative unharmed, hopefully, if you did it right. And now, once we got that done, we're going to pull off the extra heat shrink tubing and strip back the positive lead just a little bit, just so we have room for the more tinning process and things like that. So make sure you don't do it that much, because of course your lead is going to get shorter and shorter every time you change connectors. So something to consider there as well. So now we're going to go ahead and just tin this thing up. Usually you just choose a stationary object, and if you're holding the wire in your hand, first off it can get a little hot, and second off then just keep the solder just like that, and then hold the wire like so. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and just place it right on the pad just like that, and as you can see we got it. So once you've confirmed that that looks good, we're going to go ahead and slide on our heat shrink tubing, and I'm just going to use about 1/2 inch of heat shrink tubing in this case. So just kind of cut it, and I like to cut both of my sections at the same time. So just like that. Kind of get it in the ballpark. Doesn't really matter as long as it covers it. Always err on the side of more heat shrink tubing than you need, just so we don't get any extra exposed areas. So go ahead and slide a piece on, and make sure it's all the way down at the very end of the lead so that it doesn't actually accidentally get shrunken down by the hot wire. And now once again, just try to shrink this down as much as you can, and if you can, your wire gauge is thin enough, which in this case it's not, go ahead and try to shove it up into the bullet connector, and that will give you an even better joint. So now that that's dried, what we're going to go ahead and do is prepare our heat gun, and I'm just using a heat gun just like this. Let me zoom out a little bit. My heat gun is nothing special, just like a basically hot air dryer on steroids. However, all you really need for this is a lighter, a match, anything like that. Anything that produces heat. Your soldering iron probably works fine. You might even be able to use a hair dryer, I'm not sure. But if you have the right tool for the job, the right tool in this case is the heat gun. So let's go ahead and take our heat gun. Once we put this all the way up against it, let's go ahead and just make sure everything looks perfect. Try to get it into the hole a little bit if you can. Nothing special. Then once you get it done on that side, just like that, and now your first joint is complete. Not too dangerous there, if you know what I mean. You know, pretty simple, easy way to do a soldering joint. And now we're going to do the other side, and so we're going to go ahead and clip off the negative cable, pull off the heat shrink tubing. Same thing as last time. Let's go ahead and strip back the wire, and then we're going to go ahead and tin. Kind of trying to do this super speed for you guys. Don't want to bore you out. And yeah, so it's a pretty simple process. Same for both the male and female connectors. Nice and easy. And it's just a really great connector for the air vehicles if you guys are looking to upgrade. All around, it's a pretty universal connector, so very easy to solder as well, as you guys can see here. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and grab our heat shrink tubing, which is right here this time, and slide it all the way back. And then same as before, we're going to go ahead and solder it right on. Just like that. Try to get as close to the inside of that thing as possible. Hold it there for a second. Looks perfect. And now, once we got that on, we can go ahead and flip the battery over and slide this on all the way, just like that. And make sure we don't tangle our wires up. And finally, perfect. Now we can release, and voila, there you guys have it. A very simple soldering job that looks very professional, if you guys know what I mean, on this 1300 milliamp hour Venom battery. I have the same thing to do on this battery right here, which is a 5040C battery. Again, same thing with the female to male connectors. So overall, very quick and easy. Please go ahead, comment down below if you have any questions, need any help with this particular topic. I've done Dean's, Traxxas, and these connectors, EC3. I've done pretty much all of them, so I have a good amount of experience if you guys have any soldering questions in general. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I have a bunch more on my channel, about 200 videos and some change for you guys to enjoy browsing through and learning about some custom RC mods you can do with your RCs for cheap. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.